Hi and welcome to the second devlog for the game I'm working on. This time I'm going to have to start by addressing an issue from the previous devlog. The tiles that I drew does not allow me to have ceilings due to the perspective. I wanted to extend the tileset to show ceilings, since the plan was to hang things off them. The problem, however, was that with the way I drew it, I am unable to figure out a tile that would make sense for joining the wall and the ceiling without it looking off. And that's why I kinda had to scrap the tileset and create a new one. Thankfully, I was able to repurpose the old one to a certain degree, especially the earlier versions of the walls, so that saved me some time. Essentially, I decided to try a bit simpler approach when it comes to perspective, with less angled walls. It will make things easier for me without any real trade-offs. This would also allow me to reduce the amount of tiles required. With the previous setup I had to draw 4 tiles for each corner, now that amount should be way more manageable while still looking fine. Once I had the basic floor and walls done, I just had to draw the connecting tiles. This is the part where combining front-facing floor and slightly angled walls could cause some issues, but nothing that some grime and weathering won't mask. Once the first version of the new tileset was drawn, I just had to put it in the game, make sure it looks fine. Next, I wanted to start working on the first drafts of the player character, which I wanted to be an anthropomorphic elephant. I have the sprite I drew earlier this year that I can use as a base, but first, to make him fit the aesthetic I'm going for, I will have to lose the alchemist props and make him around 90% less happy. Of course, there is no way I will be happy with finished sprite so early, especially not for something as important as the player character, but I just want to have a first version that can be used as a placeholder that I can refine as I go. Meanwhile, still using the original sprite, I wanted to fix one of the bugs in the game. Right now, any collision allows the player to jump. So for example, if a player touches a wall mid-jump, it lets them jump again. This alone introduces an unintentional wall jump mechanic to the game. To address this issue, I added a small collider at the bottom of the character. Since it's narrower than the main collider, it should not touch walls when approaching them from the side. I could just have the floor and walls have separate tags and then on each collision compare the tag. But then if the player touches the ground from the side or underneath it, they would be able to jump, so it would just lead to more issues. Current approach alone probably won't be able to prevent all the issues, but I'll address them as I encounter them later. With that, I decided to hop back into A-Sprite to work on the tileset a bit more. It looked a bit rough around the edges, so I figured it could use a bit of anti-aliasing so it's easier on the eyes. This might not seem like an important thing to focus on early in development, but it really did stand out to me and I didn't like looking at the level. Since this is the tileset I will be looking at a lot during the early stages, I wanted to polish it a bit more. I also darkened the background using the A-Sprite shading tool so it doesn't stand out as much and draw too much attention. Once the tileset adjustments were done, it was finally time to move on and make something new. I want to start adding some gameplay to the game, and for that I will need some enemies. This game is meant to be heavily combat oriented, so it's crucial that I get that right, even if it were to be the only thing that I got right. My initial idea for the combat system is a mix of ranged and melee combat with deliberate pacing. Sort of something like Warhammer 40k meets Blasphemous. For that, I wanted to draw an enemy so I don't have to work with just a box as a placeholder, and also because I kinda just wanted to draw something more for the game. And what's the most important things that enemies have to do in the game? They have to die. So I quickly draw an animation of the enemy getting split in half by a bullet. I created a Discord server that will be linked in the description for those of you who are also getting started with game development and would like a place to hang out and share your experience with the others. That's really everything I have to show for today. In the next video I want to start getting more into state machine for enemy AI and make some progress on the gameplay, so it starts looking more like an actual game. Hopefully this time it doesn't take me 4 weeks to have another progress update. If you enjoyed today's video and would like to follow me on this journey, please consider subscribing to the channel, drop a like and a comment on what would you like to see next. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.